Good evening, all of you. Thank you, Jyoti, for that kind introduction. Topic is spirituality, what and why. Anybody knows what spirituality is? This is the materialistic life. What you are seeing is the matter. Okay. So there is something beyond matter. That is, people call it spirit, consciousness, awareness, and there are different names given to that entity beyond the sensory perception. Most people call it God. Divine God, sort of whatever name you want to give to that entity which is beyond the normal sensory perception. So the study of that entity, it's also called metaphysics. So physics is what we can see. Metaphysics is something that you cannot perceive with your sense organs. So spirituality is the study and practice of metaphysics. Now, all the religions are based on some god or the other. So, spirituality forms the basis of all religions. But, listen carefully, spirituality has no religion. All religions are based on some god or the other and are ultimately based on spirituality. But spirituality has no religion. That is beyond religion, spirituality. Why spirituality? Why you follow religion? Why do we follow religion? Why do we have to do all these things? All these are based on spirituality. Dasara, Deepavali, all our religious festivals, be it Christmas, Eid, whatever. Why do we need religion and a God? Basically, God is something, a belief that there is some higher power than what we can see and do. Beyond our, like I said, it's beyond our sensory perception, and it's much more powerful than what we can envisage as human beings. That's what we call a God, and we give different names and all that. As humans, our capability is limited. No matter how big you may be, you still are nobody when compared to the cosmos. Do you know how big the cosmos is? Milky Way galaxy is our galaxy where the solar system is. And our sun is one star in those 100 billion stars. And do you know how many such galaxies are there in the observable universe? The scientific estimate is another 100 billion. 100 billion galaxies are there, and of which our Milky Way is one, of which our sun is one star, and you know how big the earth is, and within the earth what we are. And the observable universe is only 5% of the total universe. 95% of it is dark matter and dark energy. So just in that context, see what your existence is, what our existence is. That's why we depend on some higher power that is the basis of all this cosmos, and try to pray and beg or whatever. So, God, please give me this, God, please give me that, don't give me sorrows, and so make sure that Dr. Bhaskar sir gives me an increment or whatever. So that is the basic spirituality. The basic spirituality is acknowledging that there is some higher power and praying and sort of seeking help and leaning upon that higher power when in need. Generally, we don't turn to God if everything is going in our favor. So we are God to ourselves. So only when difficulty comes, we remember God. Now, but again, there is a deeper level of this spirituality, and that is much more deep inquiry. And when we talk of the deeper spirituality, we talk from a completely different perspective. It's not these sort of things. For that, like I said, it's a different vantage point, and our seers, especially the Vedavyasa, you must be knowing sage Vedavyasa. He is the one who categorized the 4 Vedas, Vedavyasa. That's why he's called Vedavyasa. And he's written the 18 Puranas, and all the stories, most of the stories, all these Dasara, Deepavali, all the stories come from sage Vedavyasa. He's a genius. He has incorporated all this dry spirituality into various stories. He is a master storyteller. So he weaved all these things, the spiritual aspects, into day-to-day life, and given us the way to live and at the same time practice the spirituality without us even knowing. And as it happens, I think Jyoti has already alluded, the 10 heads of Ravana are the 10 vices. We all have both demonic qualities and divine qualities, each one of us, without exception. No one is completely a demon. You take the worst possible dictator or anybody, he will have at least one divine quality. For us, the purpose of higher spirituality is to look at ourselves. It is a self-inquiry. Like I said, the basic spirituality is what we already do, knowingly or unknowingly. But the purpose of deeper spirituality at a slightly higher level is self-inquiry. Look at your own self. You look at your own demonic qualities. Try to remove the demonic qualities. That is what Dasara is all about. Mahishasura is not a mythological character. Mahishasura is in all of us. We all have a Mahishasura in us. And we all have a Durga also in us. So it is a fight between, even Mahabharata is the same thing, Pandavas and Kauravas. Pandavas are the 5 virtues, and Kauravas are the 100 demonic qualities. So it is a fight between vice and virtue. It is all Puranas are about. I told you about how big the cosmos is, and as an individual entity, compared to the cosmos, I am just a nobody. It's just a fleeting phenomena, how big we may be. It's just a fleeting phenomena. 40, 50, 100 years down the line, all of this is just going to be a dream. Nobody will ever be remembered how big you may be. Self-inquiry is based on, am I just this mind-body complex that goes by the name MVV Prasad, or is there more to it? Every one of us. Am I just this body and mind, or am I more than that? That is the self-inquiry. And again, that is something personal, and everyone has to develop the inclination to know that. Not youngsters, but I suggest that to people who are over the age of 50, 60. Once you have achieved what you have wanted to achieve in the materialistic life, people should do the self-inquiry. So I started that some 10 years ago and still doing, and this is the result. So whatever knowledge that I come across and a little bit of pearls of wisdom from seniors, I put that into a book. So if anybody is interested, you can read that. Dr. Jyoti said the Patanjali Yogas. Patanjali Yoga Sastra is called the Ashtanga Yoga. Again, all these things are, if you look at it, there are n number of things. Ashtanga Yoga is Yama Niyama is self-restraint. Again, if you see, all religions have some self-restraint built into them. So you have to follow the social order and be a good person in the society, those sort of things. Yeah. And then on top of it, it's all controlling the mind. So end of the day, it all comes down to cessation of the unruly mind. So that's what the core spirituality is about. Thank you all very much.